This tutorial will look at how you can create and share Google Calendars and individual events. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to sign into your Google account. To check and see if you're signed in, just check and see if it shows your profile icon over here, and if not, it'll say sign in and you can click on it to sign in. To access your calendar, one way is to go to the waffle icon, click on it, and click on Calendar. You automatically have a Google Apps for Education calendar with your GSacred Google account. So here's my Google Calendar with no events added. Down along the side here, it just shows us the month that we are in, a month at a glance. On this side is My Calendars, which I can click on to expand, and I can also click on Others Calendars to expand. And right now I don't have any Others calendar, but I will show you how we can add all of those. So first of all, in My Calendars, you're able to add multiple calendars inside one Google Calendar. And this can be especially beneficial, say for example if you're a classroom teacher, perhaps you want to have an assignments calendar that you share the assignments with students, but perhaps you also want to put on important other events that are happening such as staff meetings or PD days, and you don't necessarily want to share all of those with your students. Here in the My Calendars tab, click on this drop down arrow, and underneath that drop down arrow you have Create New Calendar. So what I can do here is I can tap on this button and I'm now creating a brand new calendar. So maybe I'm going to call this Class 6B Calendar. Okay, and I can give it a description if I like. I can also leave it like that. And you just want to double check that the time zones and everything are correct. You can choose to share this calendar now, but it's certainly easy enough to share it later on as well and to come back in and edit these. And then I'm just down at the bottom, I'm going to click Create Calendar. So now here underneath Calendars, I have a Class 6B calendar. Again, if I hover over that calendar, I get another drop-down menu. I can tap on it, and again I can customize it by changing the color of it if I prefer. And I can also, you can see here, there's where I can also share these later on as well if I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and add some events to this. So perhaps I want to add some, upcoming tests and assignments. So let's start by adding an event. So I'm going to go into Thursday and I'm going to scroll down to, let's say, 11 a.m. And I'm going to double tap on here. And as soon as I double tap, I can add my event. And this gives me, a few more options than if I just single tap and start to add an event. So let's say I'm going to say unit test. And here's my time, 11 a.m. to 12, but I can also change those in there. If it were an all day, I could choose that. Where, if you feel like adding a location, you can. And if not, there is also here where you can add a Google Hangout link. And then here where it says calendar. Now, I'm going to choose the class calendar because this is the one that's going to go on. And here I will say, weather unit exam, and maybe I'll say see study guide below. And here where it says attachment, if I have an attachment, so these are useful for meeting agendas or, like I said, a study guide or anything like that, I can simply click on add attachment. And it goes through to my Google Drive, if this were where I wanted to add it. I can also upload a document from my computer. So if I had a Word document or a PDF, for example, that I wanted to upload, I'm just going to pick one from my drive here, and I'll say select. Okay. And then down here, we just have a few other options, availability or the calendar default, whether I'm just going to keep that as calendar default, and those are generally kept the same. Once I have all that information in there, I just click on Save, and you can see this was added. It's red because it was part of Class 6B's calendar. So let's say I need to add another event, a meeting with a parent that I don't want to have on my class calendar. So I'm going to click here, Friday at 3:30. I've just double clicked on it. We're going to add, meeting with parent. Okay, so let's say for example here I can add all of these details if I want to. But something else here that I might want to do is perhaps I want to invite some other people to this meeting. So perhaps I need to invite, an EA or a vice principal or a learning support facilitator. So I'll just simply start to type in their name. So I'm going to invite Susan Zettner to my meeting. And so it says that she's been invited. She will get an email notification, and you will be able to tell if she is going to join your meeting or not. So I'll just click on save, and as you can see here, it asks me, would I like to send an invitation? So I'll say yes, send. Okay, so we have our 2 meetings. Now let's have a little look here. We've looked, that's how we share an event with a person, but let's look how we would share a whole calendar with somebody. So let's look here, Class 6B calendar. So for example here, I could go on to this drop down menu and I have share this calendar. Now I could choose if I want to put this calendar onto my class web page or a link to it on my class web page. It might be worthwhile that I check this box here and I make this calendar public so that people can see all the events and details. If I choose that no, actually I only just want to share this with some students in my class, I will simply start to type in their name. So I'm going to share it here with test student, and again I'm going to say there's some permission settings. He can see all the events and details, and that's great. I only want him to see it. I don't want him to add it. However, if you're a staff and you want your colleagues to be able to add events to a shared calendar, you will need to be able to make changes to events. If you would like them to be able to manage who has access to the calendar, you can choose the top one, but making changes to events and adding events should be sufficient for most things. So I'm just going to say to see all events. Okay, and then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to click on save. So here's a picture of the test student's calendar, and you can see here it says test student, and without having added anything, you'll notice here it says unit test, and underneath here where it says others calendars, class 6B calendar has been added to his. Now if you're finding that you're getting all these notifications and your calendar is getting really full and you don't want to see all of them, simply click on the calendar and you can say hide this calendar from the list. If you hide a calendar and then want to get it back, click on the drop down arrows and go to settings, and then you'll notice here there's all the list of different calendars, and you can just say show in list and click that and then go back to your calendar and you'll notice that it's come back. So this has shown you briefly how you can create calendars, share whole calendars, create events, as well as invite people to events through Google Calendar.